the H to the N-I to the, you already see what time it is. It's the H to the N-I to the, see my niggas dying to live. Hey yo, welcome to the HNIC castle. Of course, I'm the HNIC. My name is Rashid K, the Beast Ran God. Welcome to the very first episode of the HNIC castle, where we're going to be talking to industry gurus and pioneers, sharing information and the knowledge to the artist on this very platform. So today we have, he needs no introduction, because I've known him for over 20 years. Maybe he needs introduction to you. I know this guy since the days of TKZ, HHP. You know, he's done a lot. I don't want to introduce him. I want him to introduce himself because I might do the injustice. Mr. Vusi Leeuw, over to you, sir.
Greetings. How are you?
I'm great.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yes, thanks for honoring the invite.
And you're giving me a difficult task.
Yes.
Of introducing myself. I don't want to chow too much of your airtime.
We have nothing but time, and people need to know this legend I'm talking to today.
Okay, it depends. Which part? Okay, my name is Vusi Leeuw. Come from Soweto. Also grew up in Durban, Gwandengezi. I'm a graduate in industrial sociology, and after my schooling, so during my tertiary years at Wits University,
yes,
I was part of the team at Voice of Wits that fought for Voice of Vets to have a license as a community radio or
campus radio station,
a campus radio. But this was not only for Voice of Vets, you know, it was a fight that was led by Voice of Vets and Rhodes campus radio and other campus radio stations. And so being there, I was not only a DJ, but I was also a music compiler, and librarian as well. And out of that, that's where I met a number of other friends and colleagues, you know, like your Leeuw and stuff like that. And post my graduation, I actually, during my final year, after my final exams, Sony Music was coming back into South Africa, or coming to invest in South Africa as a
which year was that?
Company. Who I think it was 96.
1996.
Yeah, 95, 96.
Okay, yeah.
And then, yeah, I think that time. And then I got an internship
at Sony.
Yeah. And at that time, Lindelani was heading the local division of Sony.
Lindelani Mkhize.
Lindelani Mkhize. And there was another lady that I respect so much, Vicky, who was the head of marketing. And so my internship, when I started, I then came into the marketing division. And I mean, look, it was a great time because these were also the early days of Kwaito. And when Sony got here, at that time, Mduma Silela was releasing, I think, his second album, which was the YU For Me.
Okay, yeah.
And Mashamplani was releasing their debut album. As for Colas Next. And there was also a great lady vocalist who was also part of the stable, who basically, I would say, was one of the greatest voices, you know, we've had. Umamseleku. And yeah, I think also, let's say, just Family Factory was also basically in the process during that time.
Okay, yeah.
Which later formed, or the formation of Joyous Celebration originates from the Family Factory project.
Okay, yeah.
So I think, I mean, being a young man at the time, it was a great time to kind of land into the music industry. I mean, with such great albums.
Yeah.
From a marketing point, with such great talent. But I must also say that at some point, as a student, I had all kind of tried to get a part-time job at a record company. And this, at the time, it was the CCP EMI.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, so when I thought that I was getting a job, in a nice office job,
When it was still in Stilldale.
In Stilldale, yeah.
Yeah.
Only to find that the job that I went for an interview for, wearing a suit and all, it was to work in the warehouse.
Yeah.
Packaging CDs.
Okay.
It was a part-time job. Look, I think at that time, I mean, I was studying industrial sociology with law. I was not seeing myself ever being in a position where I'm gonna have to pack CDs, But I was disappointed, but I think psyched myself, to say, actually, maybe this is a blessing, because the day I come into the industry, into the music industry, I'll be proud to say I know the business from the bottom.
Yeah.
How things work in the factory, how those CDs get out, into the market. So it's not only just from recording studio to manufacturing, you get to understand now, when the music has been marketed, how it's getting to the stores,
to the shops,
those processes, And I was in that job. I lasted 2 weeks. Because, like, another thing is, there were shifts,
Okay,
there's day shift, there's night shift. And I did both. Day shift one time, and the next day I'm doing night shift.
Yeah.
Because remember, stock has to go out.
Yeah, has to. Yeah.
And I think after some time, I felt like, you know what? I've gained enough experience in the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore. It's not an easy job, And I felt like, even the pay, it's not the best pay.
Okay.
So for me, it was like, look, I've spent enough time in the warehouse understanding how things work there, understanding the conditions of the people who work there, But I would never, with where I am and where I'm going, I'll never do that manual labor, It was that for that reason that I decided, no, the experience that I have for the last 2 weeks, it's great, and I quit. Yeah. So from there came the Sony opportunity again later.
Yes.
And then that took me into the marketing of music, understanding that side of things. We like in-store promotions, how that is organized, all of that. That time, the marketing department at Sony was only roughly 2 people. It was us, Vicky, and myself as an intern. So we would go together. I remember, we were promoting Wendy Mselegu's debut album, and it was during the Christmas time. And I think it had one song that was a Christmas song as well. I remember us going to do a promo in Sandton City, one of the stores that was there. And we had to get a trolley, to put the sound system and the speakers. Now you're pushing in the mall, to go set up at the shop, So that for me was partly like an experience, of what it takes, to promote music. You have to like basically roll your sleeves and you get in.
Yeah. Speaking of Wendy Mseliku, I went to school with her little sister, Ayanda Mseliku. Yeah. We're in the same class.
And another good vocalist as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I think that took me into the music. I must say that my plan academically, I was gonna go into LLB.
Okay.
Post my degree, and I ended up not going into that direction.
Why not?
Because I think after being at Sony during that time, and the following year they were going to be starting to hire, employ people.
Oh, yes. And you already had the experience.
So for me, it was like, that's where I want to be, and later, I think the Sony process took long.
Yeah.
So in Jan, while I was waiting, I had a call from Arthur Mafukat.
Yes.
Because, look, one thing maybe I didn't say is I was also a DJ, vinyl.
Oh, vinyl, yeah.
Time, even on campus with, DJ Fistas that's how we met. He was at Vets Tech, I was at Vets Varsity. And, we used to
Vets
DJ.
Tech is now UJ.
UJ,
yeah.
And so obviously one used to go get vinyls from your Kalawas, your 999s,
Yeah.
And being on a campus radio, at that time, not a lot of our artists.
When they were still all in Hillbrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Hillbrow was like
be.
New York.
Yeah.
999, Kalawa, Ghetto Raf, they were all in Hillbrow. Yeah.
And I stayed at a Vets Res, which was called SLN, in SLN Street in Hillbrow.
Okay, yes, I see that, yeah.
Yeah, so I was in the mix of the whole vibe, the whole culture, So through that, I built that relationship, and so while waiting for the Sony, for Sony to start employing, Arthur came and asked me to come and help him at 999, and that's how I joined 999 Music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was a manager, like a label manager, but I was running the whole company basically. I was label manager from a record company side. I was artist manager. So I was managing Arthur and all the artists that were there at that time. Makendla, Sabashante, New School, Superstar.
I'd love to have Arthur on the show one day. We have a lot to talk about.
I'll tell him he must.
He
must come. He must stop hiding and not talking about his contribution to the industry. Yeah, so I think from there, that's where I met Chiscop, because Chiscop was under 999 as well.
Okay.
So I was the college general manager of 999, and so, but also I was doing road management, artist management.
Yeah.
So that means during the
artist
week,
DJ.
During the week, I was at the office in Hillbrow, Monday to Friday. Besides communicating with your EMI CCP, where I had a license deal,
Okay.
I was also handling bookings for people who want to book the artists. So come weekend, come Friday, I'm getting ready to go on the road with the guys to wherever we were booked. come back latest by Sunday evening. Monday morning, in the office again as a business manager. So that was, look, that was for me, it was kind of like proper training, because I was I was hands-on in almost all aspects of the music business, record label, artist side of things, I mean, this included when the artists are on stage, making sure that the sound is proper even during the performance. Working with the sound engineers at that time for whichever gig, to make sure that they understand each artist and their voice. So sometimes you find that artists that don't have kind of sound engineers of their own, you find that somebody's performing, but the mic is not sounding perfect.
True, yeah.
Or it's low, or it's too toppy, all of those things. So when you have got your own road manager, or who's got an ear as well, sound engineer, they are able, while you're on stage, they are able to sort out all those technical issues, that could be happening during your performance, so that your performance sounds proper.
True.
Yeah.
I was introduced to you by DJ Dollar when HHP was launching Umang album, and a lot of people don't know that you were instrumental in HHP's career. Even the name HHP. Can you share the story how that name Hip Hop Pansula came about?
Well, besides that, most of the information is going to be in my documentary. I'll give you a little bit.
Yeah, not the whole thing, just yeah.
Look, I mean, the whole thing came about. Look, before the Setswana rap,
Yeah, Motswako.
I would say that before Jabba, there were guys who came before him.
Yeah.
There was Bafitlile, who was signed to Sony as well.
And there was Crowded Crew.
Who were with Kalawa, who
Yes,
came
yes.
through Kalawa. So I think, one, Crowded Crew did well, but Bafitlile got to be known, but they didn't really break into the industry.
Yeah.
And for me, that's, I think, when I started working with Jabba, whom I was introduced to by Isaac Mtetwa, he unfortunately is also passed on. I had to make sure, because at the time when Bafitlile were signed to Sony, this was also during the days of the Sony Summer Sounds.
Okay, yeah.
Right. And that stage was full of Kwaito artists.
Yes.
From Du, Tebe, all the Kwaito artists, that was majorly their stage.
It was like Amapiano now at the time, yeah.
No, most definitely. And when Bafitlile were performing, I think people didn't understand their sound. They thought I felt like they think it's a Kwaito, but in Kari this Kwaito is slow.
Yeah.
Compared to,
what they used to.
Yeah, what they used to, and as much as some people understood, but I even today I still believe, that they didn't get to be introduced properly.
Yes.
Hence, then for me, when Jabba came in, I said to him, look, we're doing this and all right, but we have a challenge. Nobody understands what the sound is all about, that actually this is hip-hop.
Yeah.
Because remember, hip-hop back then was English,
Yes.
Amu, Nani,
Rapidity Jam.
It was a lot about the English as a medium.
Yeah.
And now we are introducing the Vernac hip hop.
It was
And-
mainly, hip hop was mainly for the Model Cs and Kwaito was Kasi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm.
So what happened? So with that, I felt like if we're gonna go the same way Bafitile went in,
Yeah.
we're gonna lose people again. You know, they're not gonna understand that this is not Kwaito. We're not trying to do Kwaito.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where hip hop Pansula name came about
Yeah.
instead of Jaba as the artist name.
Yes. Yes.
I said, look, let's go with hip hop Pansula. As two cultures of black people.
Yeah.
Hip hop being
Hip-hop.
American black youth culture
Mm.
that has, like, you know, language, dance, clothing, the whole lifestyle. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what was equivalent for me to that culture that is South African and truly South African was Amapansula. Amapansula had music, they had, as a culture, the
Yeah.
style of dressing up, you know, a language, tsotsital, you understand? So for me, the fact that we were going in using some of the words like abohola and, you know, credit, that's from tsotsital, that's from Amapansula, you know?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're gonna be wearing kind of a jack parcel, you know, as much as it's American, but ekasi, that was, you know, dress code, yeah, emapansula, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was to say, look, let's call it hip hop pansula because one was playing around before we decided on Motswako.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, it was to say we can then call it hip hop sipanzula
Okay. Yeah.
as a genre if people want to know what is this if it's not Kwaito. All right.
Yeah.
So basically, hip hop panzula was the marriage between these two great black culture or cultures that are from two different continents. So that's why hip hop panzula.
Okay, okay. That's a very good story. I can't wait to see your documentary because I got a lot of questions, but I'll save it for that. You mentioned that when you were working at Voice of Words, you were once a compiler. And then I remember there was a confrontation between you and Metro FM over Payola.
Which is still there.
You were heading that Fagimalu Zobona campaign. How did that come about? How did it go? The results? Did it get you blackballed or blacklisted? Did it have any negative impact on your career or your artist or your label?
Yeah, look, thanks for that question. One is, you know, I simplify myself as a cultural activist.
Yes.
Because in everything that I've done, you know better, I've never benefited, you know.
Yeah.
I've never made the money. And I've plugged in a lot of people. And
Yeah.
if I was a true capitalist, I would have been bowling, you know. So the whole Payola issue, especially at SAPC radio stations, from my political position, you know, I had a problem with that because the SAPC was part and parcel of what we fought for, you know, as part of killing apartheid. Now, how do we have our government-owned radio stations being the biggest problem for our music and our young people? You know, if you're saying to a young guy who's trying to make it in the business and you say they must pay you 10,000 or 20,000, you know, for their songs to be played. I mean, who are you? Where are you from? You know, because a Metro FM is a black station. And that means you're also from the township. you understand the challenges of black people, not even only in music, you know. Now, how do you want to suppress talent based on the fact that people must pay to get their songs on air when you are also getting a salary every month? And for me, that was the problem. And I think at that time, I had already introduced so many artists in this country
Yeah.
without paying Payola, you know. And I felt like it's wrong, you know. And so the way how I then started coming into and being seen as if I'm the face of this anti-Payola
Yes.
thing again, because it was because one guy, I'll say it, Jamela, who now owns, he's one of the co-owners of Open Mic, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
He's one of the guys that when I was working at CCP, running CCP2, you know, with where I worked on Mendoza, worked on WHP, DJ Fista's solo album, the late TK and stuff like that. This is one of the guys that I was introduced to, who was in Cape Town, and we gave him a job,
Yeah.
you know, to be our man on the ground in Cape Town. So whenever I'm releasing an album, this is the guy that I will brief. This is the album that's coming, you know. This is the marketing plan and all, you know. And this is what I'd like you to do for Cape Town. So he'll arrange interviews for us and all of that. And I mean, I will go down to Cape Town now and then. Besides the fact that, for example, with Mendoza, we recorded most of his music in Cape Town because Kebile Rose based there, you know. So now this young guy who came from Khayelitsha, you know, is now trying to start his own label from the experience, you know, that he had gained working with us and all. Now he was also starting to discover his own artists, you know.
Yeah.
And he had an artist that he sent to Metro FM, whose music was at Metro. I mean, I think the guy was G. Troy or something like that. And he had a good song, you know. And at Metro, the compiler apparently said he needs to pay, you know. And Jamela, at that time, Jamela was not staying in Joburg, he was staying in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And he appealed to me to help him, you know. And he also called Mzwakhe Mbuli, who I'm very close with. Yeah. I'm actually, at the age of 21, I managed Mzwakhe Mbuli. That's what people don't know as well.
No, okay.
So he called myself and Bramzwakhe, and we then tried to fight on his behalf. All right, because I didn't have, Mzwakhe didn't have a Payola problem. I wasn't asked also for Payola, you know, but it was like we can't allow such young guys, you know, who are trying to make it, who have some talent that they're trying to also assist, to be not to be judged on the basis of their talent, but to be judged on the basis of can they afford to pay to get their music played on a government radio station. So that's how I started trying to talk to the compiler at the time, who is still there up to today. I think he's the king of Payola in this country, and I don't know why they're scared of him. He then kind of didn't listen to me when I was trying to tell him. But I think the worst betrayal was the same guy, Jamela, who asked me when I didn't have any problems with Metro, who asked me to come and help him. And while we're trying to help him, then he went behind our backs and
paid them.
Pay. And they had a relationship from there onwards. He didn't come back to say, you know what, my problem has been solved. Thanks for trying to help me.
And he left you under the bus.
He left me under the bus, but Look, I would say that for me, unfortunately, not the most unfortunate part. It was not for me.
Yeah.
It was the artists that need help. All right, because yes, I've been blacklisted at Metro FM. I'm a person non grata, unofficially so, to the level that my music would be played, whether by you or Skido, and some of the guys, who had that freedom based on their show, and that's how, for example, you were able to be the first person in South Africa to play CK. Before he blew up, CK,
and I didn't get a cent.
You didn't get a cent. You didn't get paid anything.
Yeah.
And so for me, I never had that problem.
Yeah.
But what it did was it made me to slow down in music, because when an artist comes to me, I would say, look, you are talented and all, but once your name is attached to my name,
you're going to be blacklisted.
You're going to be blacklisted.
Okay.
Look, I have relations in the board of SABC, but here's a situation. I'm not the one who's struggling. Now, the biggest problem is the artists who are the ones that are struggling are suffering from Payola. When you say, come forward and state your case, they disappear, or they run away, or they start saying, hey, I'm going to be, my music is not going to be played. But it's like, come on, your music is not being played even now. So when you say your music is not going to be paid, who do you think you're helping? It's not going to be paid until you pay. So, and they've disappeared, a lot of them with talent. And one of my biggest problem is people then start saying about some of our young people that they smoke nyawupe, they are thieves and all. But don't you understand that maybe some of those kids had talent, but because they have to pay Payola at radio stations, which has now become worse because it now goes all the way to community radio stations. If now they have to pay for their music to be played, and they don't have that 10,000 minimum they have to pay, how do you understand? Maybe some of those kids have been so frustrated that they ended up in the substance abuse, or some ended up going back and choosing to be thieves, for them to be able to have a living. Because I say, imagine if Mendoza, may his soul rest in peace, had to be faced by that situation, that his music cannot be played, when he's got the talent, he's got to pay the money that he doesn't have to get his music paid. That means we're not going to have a Mendoza, we're not going to have a hip hop Ansula, and that means some of those guys could have ended up being thugs as the easiest way to make money.
Somebody said to me, cold drink or corruption is part of the South African culture. On the road, we pay traffic cops $100 or whatever. At the traffic department, we pay to get our licenses and our learners. So we only have a problem when it's done on a larger scale. When a compiler says I want 20,000, when it's done by government corruption officials, when it's on a larger scales, then we start complaining, while we do the same thing on a lower scale.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I'll say I agree with that. As much as some of us don't bribe, even traffic cops.
Yes.
But here's what I want to say that I've never said, probably live.
Yeah.
What those compilers fail to understand is, some of us, if we wanted to be like Such Knights of this world, we could have been. I'm not blacklisted because I can't.
You weak.
Yeah, because I can't unblacklist myself.
You could have had Nkabis and walk in.
I mean, why must I? If I'm gonna pay you 20,000, why can't I take that 20,000 and pay people who'll deal with you? Because that's the simplest thing, and we'll rid the country of a problem like you that has blocked so many kids' lives. That has made, people say artists are being exploited and all. So if some of these kids can't pay 10,000, they end up going to sign any contract, even if it exploits them, because they want their talents to be seen and to be known, to be out there. They've got the talent.
Yeah.
But the only way is they have to pay the money that they don't have. And there's this person who's got the money, doesn't understand the music business. They don't understand what this contract is even saying themselves as record company owner. All right?
Yeah.
But they are willing to pay. And their music gets played. So the artist is left with, do I go back home and be hungry? Or do I sign this crap contract? But at least my music, I'll get that chance for my music to be heard. And I will launch a career that can help me and help my family, to survive. That's what artists, especially today, even more, are faced with. Because, like I say, Payola is like crazy. But you have to choose whether do you want to be a Such Knight,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm just saying that I think those compilers, they don't understand the fact that they are also playing with fire,
Okay, I heard that guys like yourself, Mzwake Mbuli, Blondie, tried to fight against Payola. Do you think now people have given up? Nobody's fighting against Payola now.
I think the biggest problem is we were fighting not for ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Now, when people at the SABC trust me, we have the people. Like I said, I've got people in the board. I've got people all over the SABC who are in charge.
Yeah.
Right? I cannot go and say my music is not played because I'm not telling the truth. Do you understand? Because there I was able to get CK and other artists to be played, even at Metro FM.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that if we are fighting for you who has a problem, and they say, but you know what, we need evidence. And then you don't want to tell the story that you told me about how you were told, if you want this, it's fine, but pay. Do you understand?
Yes.
Then how then do we have a case going forward? So if you don't want to, well, we don't have problems. If that's what I have to say. Stay there, and if your life gets messed up and what, you had a choice.
Yeah.
Between fighting for the right thing, fighting for your career, or being quiet and not having a career. I always say, half a poison still kills. It's probably even more dangerous because it kills you slowly.
Yeah, that's true. Moving right along.
Sure.
You started packing CDs, and now we on the streaming age. I know that selling 100 CDs, you make more money than someone who has 1 million streams. How has streaming affected the music positively and negatively?
I think positively, it has opened up the market. In other words, you don't have to depend on getting a deal from the few companies that are there.
Okay.
Because understand at the same time, it's not just about the fact that maybe record companies don't want to give opportunities. They can only handle so many people at a time.
Yes.
You understand? So you can't have 500 hip-hop artists in one label and have another 500
Afro-pop, Amapiano.
All of that, So this has made and allowed artists to be able to launch their own career, without somebody else necessarily deciding on whether they'll make it or not.
No gatekeeping.
Yeah, they will call it gatekeeping. No gatekeeping.
Yeah.
You know, but the funny part is, you know, this relationship between record companies and artists.
Yeah.
I think it's there. It's going to be there for lifetime. You understand?
Yes, yes.
Because I don't know if I should pose a question to you or should I just make this as a statement. Whether in the US or here,
Yeah.
majority of the artists that are said to be independent, they actually have a backing of majors, even labels.
Yes.
So what is independent?
Because you still have the so-called independent labels still being distributed or marketed by the majors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which means that we're now saying I'm independent, and you've just released a song, and for the song to really happen, you need to be able to go nationally, you know, going on a radio tour and promo tour, you know. You might not be able to get to all the places that are key.
Yeah.
You can't go to Cape Town, for example, where when you're in Cape Town, you can do Expresso. That's the only place where they shoot from.
Yes.
All right? You know, when actually if you go to Cape Town, then you've got Expresso, you've got so many radio stations and community radio stations.
Cape TV.
Cape TV as well. You've got your Cooks FM, you've got, you
Bush
know,
Radio.
like, you know, Bush FM.
Good Hope
you know,
FM.
Good Hope, you know, Heart FM. You know, you've got so much.
Yes.
Plus the newspapers, including the Sun, you know,
Yeah.
Cape Times, like, you know.
Yeah.
So you're not able to get there on time. What do I mean on time? You know, when a song is hot now, all right,
Yeah.
you need to back it up. People need to see you,
Yeah.
all right, or else your song is going to fly on its own.
And the record label can fund that. They can recoup later.
Yeah, that's how the relationship between artists and record labels is about. It enables, they've got that funding or that money, you know, that budget that you may not have as a new artist, you know. Because let's face it, even during today, this day and age of digital, all right, not every artist blows up immediately like Jwalabami and all of that.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So I know people want to be like, no, stay independent and what. You know, funny, I even watch some of the US artists who were with majors and are saying to artists, no, be independent. They can afford to be independent now. You know why? Because their brands have been built already.
I always say, if you don't have the money, you're not independent.
For sure.
If you can't book yourself a flight and attend an interview in Durban, you're not independent. You are dependent on something or someone to do that for you.
Yeah.
Independent is affording
to be able to do that.
To be able to do everything.
Yeah, and sorry, just to add on that.
Yeah.
Because breaking a song is not always breaking a song from Joburg.
Yes.
Do you understand?
That's true.
You can have a province like Durban or a province like KZN or Eastern Cape or Western Cape that will appreciate your song.
Yeah.
More than.
There are hits that are provincial.
Yeah.
Take for King Monada, Makadzi.
Exactly.
They're huge in Limpopo. That's a provincial hit.
But look at DJ Teller I think is one great example.
Yes.
Who still does that poem that has a gospel sound.
Yeah.
All right. That is only roughly big in the Eastern Cape and Western Cape.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Now, if you're in Joburg and you're doing that sound, you cannot expect that maybe YFM or other stations in Gauteng will support that your sound. They don't understand it. But if you go to Eastern Cape and Western Cape, radio stations there and all, if that song is hot, it's their vibe. It will pick up like that. And this is when it will then end up coming to other provinces. Because everybody goes to, let's say, Eastern Cape and they say, yo, there's this song. Everywhere you go in the Eastern Cape, they're playing this song.
Yeah.
You know? It's the same thing as in Durban. We'd know that, for example, right now, if you're going to be saying during Durban July, everyone from different provinces is going to be in Durban, all the tastemakers, and you make sure that your song is almost played by all the DJs that are going to be playing at different marquees, you know.
That's
you're
true,
pushing it
because that
everywhere.
Babes hit, what is it called again? Ah, de.
Yeah,
I heard it when I went to Durban July before it blew up like
right.
nationally.
Yeah,
I heard it everywhere in Durban. Everywhere I went, it was Babes
sure.
with that song.
Exactly.
You
Then when
know,
you
and
come
then the
back,
next thing, 2 months later, boom, the song is big all
exactly.
over.
And
You know,
somehow you would have like, I had this song in Durban.
yeah.
Or when you come back from Durban, you'll be telling
You can't
your
get it out
friends-
of your head. Yeah.
You'll be telling your friends, there's this song.
Yeah,
It was
and I
playing
didn't even
everywhere.
know it was Babes. I didn't even know the artist. I was hearing dida everywhere I went. Okay,
Yeah.
speaking of artist and record labels relationship, in this day and age, which contract is ideal? Is a win-win situation for both the record label and the artist?
Sure. Let me put it this way, man.
Yeah.
And this I always say. I think if we can all understand that, we will be able to understand what world we live in. We are in capitalism,
Yeah.
all right? We are
True.
in capitalism.
Yes.
Even for me, the companies I worked for, it doesn't mean that I was paid what I was worth,
Yeah.
all right? But somehow I was able, it was a platform
Yeah.
where I was able to execute what I had in my mind, which was part of my capabilities, which in return launched artists that became big as well,
Yeah.
you know? So I always laugh when you hear people in social media, because, you know, social media has allowed, especially with our industry,
Yeah.
everybody knows our industry better than all of us.
We're all experts.
Exactly. And everybody wants to call themselves king. They know better.
The goats.
Even if they have 3 songs or one artist that they've ever
Yeah.
really made, when some of us have lists of artists that we made in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
industry. But you then find the people, just fans, saying, hey, you are being robbed, all right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know why? What makes me laugh is these people, probably most of them are employed somewhere.
Yes.
Whether they're working for a small shop or they're working for a big company,
Or a call center.
you know,
They have an income.
they have an income.
Yeah.
Is that income truly what they're supposed to be paid?
No, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate.
Because the employers, even somewhere, the employers will say, this is what we're willing to pay.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. Because we are in the world of profit, you know,
Yeah.
and losses or gains, you know.
Yeah, I always say you can't have a counter offer with an empty stomach. You take what you're given.
So I laugh when people say
Yeah.
to an artist, no, resign or leave or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But they are not doing that at their own work. And this artist might be leaving a contract that probably is doing something for them in their lives.
Yeah.
You know, because contracts do come to an end. The most important thing is artists, and I always say this, why do artists want to go to media a couple of years after they had signed a contract? Why don't they go to the same media immediately when you offer them a contract?
Yeah.
And they go to Daily Sun or Sowetan and say, I can't afford a lawyer, but I've been given this contract. You know, can you ask your lawyers upstairs there, you
Yeah.
know, to go through it to go through it for me, so that I'm not exploited, so that you don't have to be writing another story of another artist
I
being
think
exploited 30 years down the line in South Africa, after we've been talking about Mahlatini and a whole lot of other artists. Do you understand why we're not changing this thing? You know, so for me, it's like the contracts in the business.
yeah.
They are like contracts anywhere else. All right.
Yeah.
You need to understand what you're signing, and on the basis of what you can also afford, and
Yeah.
what does that mean. So there is, like, for example, a licensing agreement, because today a lot of artists, compared to back in the day, a lot of artists can have Fruity Loops you know,
Mm-hmm.
and the cheapest equipment, and they could come up with a big song, you know, and they've got a master, they're launching a career.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas back in the day, you needed to have money to go book a studio, which was these big studios with big desks and stuff like that. All right. So that's why there were more artist agreements being signed by artists then, compared to today, where you can sign a licensing agreement because you already have a master. The only thing that you need is someone who have expertise, marketing expertise,
Yes.
and it's got the money to make sure that your marketing, you know, it happens on time without you losing the momentum because you don't have 8,000, for example,
Yeah.
minimum. You don't have 8,000 rands to shoot a video, or you don't have 30,000 or 100,000 to shoot a video that you
Yeah.
feel like.
Without condoning exploitation, 10% of something is better than 100% of nothing.
Look, there are some rules in the business.
Yeah.
Let me give an example. Today, you cannot, as an artist or as a record label, sign. So let's say as an artist, you cannot sign a contract that gives, as a new up and coming artist,
Yes.
that is less than 10% in terms of royalties.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was like this is what early 90s. The figure was 8%.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Today, because all these things go with the economic times.
Yes. Yes.
So today is like direct artist agreement. Minimum is 10%. You know. And yeah. So not that there are no rules in this game.
Yeah.
There are rules in this game. If people ask, you know, they will know what is correct, what is not correct, what is the highest percentage that a manager can take, you know. All of those things are there. And some of these things are global. They are not just happening in South Africa, you know.
Yeah.
It's a standard procedure internationally. It doesn't matter where you go. Let me give an example. A 20% management fee, all right? Anywhere you go in the world,
Yeah.
managers know, you know, that most of them are charging 20%.
20%. Yes.
You know? And again, that percentage sometimes, from a management point, works on the basis of how much are we earning through you as an artist on, let's say, monthly basis.
Yes.
You know? If I'm making R1 million guaranteed every month, minimum, I can afford to even sign you at 5% as a manager.
Yes. It's still a lot of money.
It's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
It covers the cost of running the business, all of that, you know. So I'm just saying that if people find the right people who really know this business, not those who claim to be knowing this business, they will get to understand what is what, and get to understand that, like you said, this is a relationship. You can always negotiate.
Yeah.
Nobody forces anybody to say, sign this contract. All right? People always come back. Sometimes, like even back in the day, we used to give artists a contract.
Yeah.
And you tell them they must go consult a lawyer.
Yeah.
All right? And somebody will come back even by tomorrow or whenever and say, I've consulted my lawyer.
I'm
I
good.
want to sign.
Yeah.
You know? Because what? They're rushing to go around the streets and amongst them their friends saying, I'm signed to this particular company. You know? I'm in now, you know?
And I think the reason most of the artists run to the media or social media whenever there's a fallout, they're playing on public sympathy. They want to get the sympathy.
Yeah.
Because most of the artists, because of the contract, they can't win the case in court. So they manipulate the public sympathy.
Yeah.
And they use their popularity to win.
And the media makes money out of every so-called negative story, if you can say.
Yes.
Because that's why we don't read a lot about successful, especially black people in the media.
Yeah.
Almost everyone that we read about, there must be a scandal somewhere. That's 90%.
Yeah, I think negativity is like sex. It sells. You know,
you know,
that's why we get excited
Yeah.
by diss tracks than beautiful songs.
Yeah, but somebody will, like I said, if you ask and somebody will say, people who know, they will say, okay, maybe go to that media platform company and ask them, you know, to donate. I'm sure that would be a good story for them.
Yeah.
Imagine Daily Sun helps an artist without money.
A starving artist.
Yeah, you know, to negotiate a contract through their
Yeah.
lawyers, you know. But also, like I say this again, you know, when you go to varsities,
Yes.
all varsities have what are called law clinics.
Yeah, I know. Wits University has a law clinic. Yeah.
Almost all of them.
Yes.
You know, have law clinics where people who earn up to a certain amount, you know, just for this purpose, maybe people who earn less than 5,000 rands or less than 10,000 rands, and they've got a legal problem, you know, they get assisted. So that means it's people who earn that low to people who earn nothing,
Yes.
or people who are unemployed. When they've got a legal problem, they can go to a law clinic for assistance. All right. So the same thing. Artists cannot say, I don't have
I can't afford
a lawyer.
Yeah.
You know, go to a law clinic.
Yeah.
They will look at it for you, you know, because as much as they're students, but students are supervised by senior people.
Yeah.
You know, so you will get assistance. And most of those students are in their final year.
Doing articles, yeah.
Exactly. They're in the final year, basically. So you'll get that assistance because somehow, maybe even for those students, some of them get to learn about the contracts in the music business, maybe through that particular artist. But like I said, there's senior people. They can always, if the law clinic feels like we don't understand this, there's somebody senior or somebody practicing outside who's close to, you know, it could be an alumni of that campus.
Yeah.
That they can assist to say, hey, do you know this thing? You know, can you assist here? Our students, they've got this particular case. Can you look at the contract for us? Then they come back to you as an artist. So I'm just saying that we're living in a capitalist world. None of us are fairly paid. You know, the same way as artists will come with no money and we help, and later they think that they have greener pastures because somebody with money is telling them that I can give you more money, or I can make you, or I will give you Gucci's and that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And Vusi is not going to give it to you, you know. Then they think that person is better, you know. So we go through that and we understand, because the most difficult stage is building a brand.
Yeah.
You put more money. And the people with money, those who are, I'll call them clever than us, all right? They know that, you know, you're taking chances. It takes a lot of money, a lot of work to invest in an unknown artist.
Yeah.
But wait for them to blow up, you know? It only takes 3 years if they've got a 3-year contract. After the 3 years, you will come, offer them 500,000, offer them money, you know, that they can't kind of say no to.
Yes.
All right? Because now all of a sudden, you are offering them 500,000. I started them from scratch.
From the ground up, yeah.
Now all of a sudden they say I must compete with you. They're forgetting that I've probably spent more than that 500,000. And for you, you've already made your calculations.
Yes.
You know that if I'm putting this 500,000, gigs, this, publishing, what, I'm going to make 5 times more.
Yeah.
But then the artist feels like, if you can't give me 500,000, he's willing to give me 500,000. So it's greener pastures.
True. Do you think that music is still a lucrative career?
It's huge. It's huge. I mean, this industry still makes over R1 billion a year. The only problem is we're getting the crumbs of it. But the money is in this game.
Okay. Some people are making the money. Some people are making a
But
kill.
look at it this way.
Oh.
Why would all these distro companies be in existence
If there was no money.
if there was no money. How many people do they employ? What kind of buildings that they are renting? How much are they spending a month just on rental? So the music business has money. But understand what I said. Music business.
Yeah, I know.
That's why today we don't. The industry is not just looking for an artist. The industry is looking for a business person. That means you are an artist, but understand that you are a business.
Yeah.
Secure yourself.
I think there's more money in the music business because the Spotify CEO is worth about $4 billion. And the guy who has 100 billion streams doesn't even have 1 billion.
So understand how you play the game. And isn't it funny that no artist is complaining really about that except one or two in the world?
They comfortable. So,
but
comfortable
with what? With 3 cents per stream.
Eish, it's crazy. and now they don't even pay that. They start paying from 1,000 streams upwards.
And now there's AI that can generate other music for them that they don't have to pay any artist.
True.
So I think I just think, like I said, probably if people understand that we live in a capitalist world, and it's business, it's about how you play. Probably the people who say it's a game, maybe are telling the truth. It's about how do you play the game, and outsmart, the players, the other players in the game. By other players, meaning even record companies, even the distro companies. I think the funny part would be the guy that created so many pseudonyms and created so many songs that actually he was the highest paid in the world in terms of streams, and they're shutting him down. So he was able to play them.
Yeah.
You understand? I mean, he made lots of money, and do you understand?
Yeah.
To see that then the game is, how do they get to know that actually this is the same person?
The game is rigged. The game is rigged.
Using different names,
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that I think we need to accept the fact that this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we don't want exploitation. Hence, people, like in any business, when you're going to take a loan from the bank, you want to start your business, they still make more money than you. If you're paying a bond, you're taking a bond of 100,000 rands for a house, as an example. How much are you paying back? Any loan that you take, how much are you paying back? Did you understand?
Pay back with interest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That interest is crazy compared to realizing that if you save money, even if it takes you 5 years, but you're going to end up having that and pay cash for it.
Yeah.
You understand? But if you can't do that, you want to go the loan route, you're going to understand what it takes. Funny enough, people don't complain.
Yeah. It's all about studying and understanding the game.
Understanding the business in a capitalist world. And then you will know that when you make money here, you save it there, you make it grow, We've seen other artists coming from like very poor backgrounds with no money. Today they are millionaires, and nobody says, how do I learn to be like that person? How do I learn to have the value that is that much? And at the same time, maybe it also comes with artists understanding that no man is an island. You cannot expect that you can do everything one man. Even some of the top artists in this country that are making it, they've got offices and people behind them, who are making them, and they are paying them. But these are part of the people who come up with some creative ways of doing things. Yes, the credit doesn't come to them per se.
Yeah.
The credit will go to the artist to say, yo, did you see how he launched his album? You know, did you see that? And that's not that artist sometimes. It's this other person, you know.
Yes.
It's a Rashid, but nobody cares. They just want to say, no. This is the person who made it, not Rashid. So I'm just saying that it takes a team.
Yeah.
Respect your team, you know. Get the right team as well. Because another challenge that we have, especially within the Amapiano culture, is, which I understand where it comes from, it's good, but there's a time when you need to understand that your friend who doesn't have a clue about the music industry will not be your best manager unless your friend understands that he needs to learn what is management, what it takes to be a good manager, you know?
Yeah.
And how the fact that you have the privilege of managing an artist, especially who's popular at that time, who happens to be your friend, there's a difference between you and that artist. All right? You are in the background. Don't try and be like them. That's why some people don't know us, because we understood our clients is the artist.
Yes.
I don't have to be in the same music video with him.
No.
I don't, you know, as much as
He's
I could
the face of the product.
He's the product and the face of that, you know, not me. I must be on the side. So again, when somebody's calling, looking to book the artist or to do business with the artist, the way I answer the phone, I must understand. I'm at a different level. I'm in business. I must answer properly, not and don't make it as if now I have to beg you to make business with you. You know, if we realize that, you know what, this guy is big, but the signs just from the manager, it looks like we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
How we move on? We look for somebody else, and if that somebody else we can't find who's like that person, we change direction. You know, maybe change the whole strategy. I'm sure you know, in advertising world, you know, if something they feel like, oh, we can't afford this, what do? They change the strategy, go to another challenge, you know?
Yeah.
And you find that as an artist or as an artist manager, you've somehow cost your client business, you know? So these are part of the challenges. We need the young people in this game to come in, but also understand that they need to learn this business so that we don't have people who one day are millionaires and tomorrow they are back ekasi, they are broke. And then now we are told that they've got mental health problems.
Yes.
You know?
That story has been repeating itself. Vusi, thanks so much, man. This has been very insightful for me, and I hope for the viewers as well. And before I let you go, what are you currently doing, working on, and how can we get hold of you?
Currently, I'm working on about 3 documentaries and a film, a movie. And that's what I'm
a content producer. Rope me in.
And we must talk. Really talk.
Yeah.
I've got a distribution platform called Huge Box.
Okay.
That I'm running. I run a corporate communications company. I mean, one of my brands, the brands that I work with is Soft and Free.
Okay.
That I've also brought into the music space. They, for example, sponsoring Basadi Music Awards, as Basadi Music Awards. They, I mean, at some point you might have seen them at the summers. I've done that. I mean, for years, Vusi Leeuw Consulting has been in that space.
I'll consult you. I need the sponsor for the podcast.
Yeah, you know, you might remember the Doritos and tear gas campaign.
Yes.
I mean, that was Vusi Leeuw Consulting behind that.
Shout out.
It's been a lot. I mean, Jabba, you know, a lot. Selwyn,
Boiti.
It's a whole lot of
Yeah.
So yeah,
I know quite a
and-
few.
And yeah, and then I managed, like like you've said, I started after working with Boiti, because I think I wanted a bit of a challenge outside music.
Yeah.
I managed Boiti and worked well with her in helping her with her career, not music side.
Yeah.
Boiti
There's a brand,
original,
yeah.
And then I also helped Nomza Mombata, which is how she got through the team that it was 3 of us that I introduced her to. We got her to have the shot in the US.
That's
she has
really
now.
dope. That's really dope.
Yeah. So and I still then help. I consult for other publishing company.
Yes.
And I what else do? I still people who come to me for mentorship, even artists, I still in the background assist them,
Okay, yeah.
to say this is how you need to do it. They send me songs, they want my opinion. I don't charge. The only challenge is that we break the cycle. That's the problem.
Yeah.
When some of what I've done, when I do something for somebody for free, if I listen to your song, when you make it, I expect you to pick up someone else. And take them with you, so that this, we make the circle bigger, like Jabba said, But you find that when people make it, they don't want to open doors for anybody else.
Or they get amnesia. They forget real quick.
Yeah, so many of them. So for me, I think that's the only, I don't know whether it's called regret or what, that I feel that sometimes it's like, if I help you, tomorrow you're going to help somebody else.
Yeah.
But,
you don't have to come back and help me.
No, yeah.
It's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate.
Help somebody else. So, but, I also felt like we can't, if I was to go with that mentality, I would not help other people who are truly deserving, who are not going to be selfish like the others that have.
No, Vusi, thank you so much for coming through. I appreciate. I know your work, and I'm still going to consult with you.
No problem.
All right. The HNIC Castle, we're still going to bring you more moguls of the industry. You're going to learn a lot. And this is where I don't talk a lot. I just let the experts do their thing. Peace. Check you next week.
It's the H to the NI to the, you already see what time it is. It's the H to the NI to the, see my niggas dying to live.